Good morning, everybody. Today, in a continuing progression of interesting speakers, we have someone with us who is also a very interesting person.
Thank you, Ray.
Her name is Noor, and she's a member of, she's an attender at Central Meeting. And her title for her talk today is also slightly intriguing. It is called Palestine, the Forbidden Fruit. Noor.
Thank you, Ray. That was a very nice introduction. Let me just pull up my slides on my computer, and then I'll be able to zoom on and share them with you.
Hold on.
Okay. And so can you see the slides just now?
Not yet.
Not yet. No, not yet.
You need to go into the Zoom window and click on share.
Click on share.
And then find your slide window.
Window, slide, share. Okay.
Yeah, nearly there. Yeah.
Now what we've got is the view of the slides with the sorter. So that's it. That's exactly it. Thank you.
So I titled my presentation Palestine, the Forbidden Fruit, as I believe that virtually all information that that place holds have been classified as secrets and have been kept as secrets. So for most of us, they're simply not available. But with the recent troubles, if you committed to their plight, you were able to access the secrets of biblical as well as current. So who is this Palestinian? Who I believe he is his rank is that he will die for us if necessary. So if there is trouble, if there's anything that cannot be sorted without death, the Palestinian will say, I will die for this cause, which makes him a very brave man indeed. In virtually all of our eyes, someone who will die for a cause will be labeled as brave or courageous. He's a very courageous man. And whatever is happening in the true reality of recent troubles, he is dying. So that courage is actually in life force, if you like, which does make our hearts very sad. But as for his standing, he is completing what he has promised. And Palestine is also where the story of Jesus Christ takes place, in Jerusalem, in Gaza, in Bethlehem, the place of birth, and also, very sadly, the crucifixion. And the story holds that the heron, the bird heron, could see what Herod was going to do. And if only they shouted, kill the Palestinian and not Christ, Christ would have survived, because this is his rank that he dies. And if Herod wanted to kill anybody from that group, then the Palestinians' murder would have labeled him a murderer, and he could not have killed Christ. But that's not how it went. Christ unfortunately died and was crucified, and Herod could see what were the mistakes in the brotherhood cloth that enabled this very sad death. So he played a very brave role in that story too. Another biblical slant, which is my favorite, and this is the main rider for my presentation, is that the Abrahamic 6 boy children is only one way. We on earth as humans only know one way of raising 6 consecutive boy children. And that is the way that King Abraham had shared with us. And some say he should have kept it as his secret, as some very wealthy and secretive Arab or Muslim families nowadays do, is if they have managed to raise 6 boy children, they keep their strategy a secret. But King Abraham shared with all of us how to raise 6 boy children, because it is a very hard, very complex thing to do, because they will agree to differ virtually on every aspect or element of life or theory, and so it is it's a miraculous science of its own to even as much as attempt to have 6 consecutive boy children, and as a consequence, virtually none of us even as much as know a family who have 6 boy children. But in this sequence of 6 boys, Deuteronomy is what plays an important part, other than, of course, father's wish and grandfather's wish of the given family, not only of King Abraham. The meanings of the numbers, the sequence of number 1, number 2, number 4, number 3, number 5, and number 6, as they follow one another, that determines their position and role in the family. And of this sequence of 6, number 4 is who I believe is the Palestinian, the king of Palestine, is a number 4 born of 6 consecutive boy children. And what does this number 4 mean? The Deuteronomical meaning of number 4 is that it is obligatory. You might not even have heard of the first one because it's brand new and none other has been there before and can't share it. Number 2 is shared because they're able to talk with one another. Communication is enabled between 2 people, and number 3 becomes royally established, and number 4 sort of takes away oil out or escape routes where your possibly father still saying, "Oh, I haven't woken up to the fact that I have all these many boy children." By the time number 4 comes along, it is compulsory, and also all the laws which number 1, number 2, and number 3 have established. You have got to have ensure that you learn them and are playing by them, because number 4 implements the law. It's almost like having 4 corners of a page or having 4 walls in a room. It is no other way. You can't, there's no, that is how it is. And so you have to just accept that there are 4 corners to a page and live with the fact that it is number 4 born who guarantees and ensures that it is that way in our minds. And therefore, we associate number 4 born with what authority is. It's compulsory, it's obligatory, you have to have learned it. And in my case, in my family, we have 7 children with my partner who sadly passed away now. And the first 3 make sure that mother understands that a female has to stay out of boys' secrets. A boy will only share his secrets with another boy, not with mom and not with aunts. And the more space mom allows for these truly exclusively male secrets to grow, the better she has sort of like performed as a mother. And by the time number 4 came along, I had to be under no delusions or illusions or dreamlands of any kind to say that, oh, they will one day include me in their boy secrets, because they will not. That is their measure, is on excluding the female, not of being kind and all go and then just this one. I tell her there are none. And number 4, fourth born boy, often it's like a harsh reality. Some mothers don't live past the boy child number 4, because it is such a harsh truth that they did that say. They said, no, you can't, no, you're not allowed in. You're not allowed in the room even, or, you know, you are completely excluded from the sequence, and you just have to learn it by law of authority over family, or by law of authority over me. And that number 4 is the Palestinian. And he later on becomes the king of Palestine. And this position of number 4 doesn't just mean that he's able to exclude or include people from the sequence, or all these secrets the boys have, sort of like a secret store, almost the keys. I think we often see at the rallies or demonstrations for Palestine, the key is a symbol, because he holds these keys to the male secrets where mom can't, even as much as peeping. And another aspect of this number 4 is that it's the conglomerate of all 6. However much we love all 6 of them, we love number 4 exactly that much. And however much we rejoiced over the birth of the 6 of them, it is that much we rejoiced over the birth of our 4th born. It's almost like the common denominator in the family, the collective number 4. So we love Palestine, some say, as much as we love men in the world, as much as we love the male of the species, as much as we love men, is that much how much we love the Palestinian. And it's almost like it's a formula. You can't say is any more or any less. It is that much exactly. And I think the reason that why it's so sad that this war is actually happening in Palestine is because the mind doesn't understand. You know, what is it? Are we trying to eradicate the male off the planet? And is it some kind of like seeding male hate that surfaced? And so we think to attack Palestine? Or what is it? Because it's the Palestinians' place is the combined love we have for the male that we compulsorily have for our own. So we all love the Palestinian, the 4th born of the Abrahamic 6, and we do understand our love for Palestine is exactly our love for the male of Earth, the male of the human race. And so most will argue that it's a very, very nice position. So he isn't only brave and will die for us in a cause, but is a very comfortably, securely beloved number 4. Now, interestingly, Somalia, whose place is we look upon as an anomaly in Islam, they're almost like the injured of Islam. They have their own number 4 theorem, and it differs from our love of number 4. How people in the West, in Europe, in Asia, the world of Russia, and how America and the indigenous people are included in it, and most of Africa actually, how we believe number 4 is grown in our minds, what the Deuteronomical number 4 means, differs to how number 4 is grown in Somalia. So if you like, if they had their way over the world, the Palestinian, this number 4, the Abrahamic number 4, would differ. And they say that theirs actually grows more love for number 4, but the rest of the world differs. And so we know our way as our love for Palestine is what our love for the male of the human race is. And I just thought it important to mention about this one difference of Somalia or Somaliland. And they say it's because they fast. We think it's like a starvation routine of their culture. And if you are a fasting nation, you will bear your number 4 in a different manner. But I think most of us we may do Ramadan, or we may fast every Monday, let's say. We're not serious or severe enough fasters to be able to follow the Somali way. So until such time, it is the Palestinian. We all just Muslim. Simple, nice position, eh? Very nice position. And but Palestinian is also the one and the only one of the Abrahamic six whose male legality is shared with the female. If you're a female in a family where there are 6 boys, consecutive boys born, it is the number 4th born you may learn. Everybody else's way, the way male standing, male secrets may, what I guess we say legality, how he believes the courts should function, remains a secret. And they may share it with people, but usually not with the female. And the only one available for the female to learn is the Palestinian. And so that also makes him a very unique position, because he is truly the only one the female has available for her to, if a female is curious about a male, a man, what is a man? How does a man think differently in his legal ways? It is only the Palestinians, so she may learn. And therefore, the female must love the Palestinian, because A, you must love who or what you're learning about, and B, because he will knock you off. He'll say, not now, or, please come back another day, that kind of thing. And he's often, if not always, very cocky to the girls in the family. He's number 4 born, and so some girls just say, well, you know what, I'm not interested in the male. In that case, I'm just gonna bypass the male. But of course we can't do that, because we all have fathers and we all have brothers and cousins, and then later on in life we marry men and we have children with these wonderful creatures of the world we call men. And our only way to learn about them in all of the 90% possibly of the world is through the legality of this number 4 born, which is in the world dominion way, is the Palestinian. So he doesn't have to and has no intention whatsoever to reciprocate the love he's receiving from the female, or he has absolutely no interest in learning back. Like somebody might think that if I learn about what your favorite color is, then you might want to know what my favorite color is. Or the Palestinian doesn't work in that way. The Palestinian just is not interested in learning about the female back. So it's an extremely one-sided love affair, and he's the only one that's available for us ladies. And so the only knowledge, therefore, a woman has about her husband or father or boy children is the learned legality of the Palestinian and no other. And that is true even if you don't know that, even if you've never heard about such a country as Palestine, or even if you've never heard about the Palestinian male, that is, and it's also the combined knowledge, what the female of the globe knows about the male combined is what we know about the Palestinians' legality. So knowledge in the Garden of Eden was a big, chunky size thesis, if you like, and it was shared equally between male and female, except about knowledge of the male. Knowledge of male was restricted by law to the male himself. And the male said, well, you're just not going to find out about me. I'm not telling you about my inner core. I'm going to keep it a secret from the female. And the only one in the Garden of Eden the female may learn through is the Palestinian. So he occupies this unique place, which makes him very naughty, because that position just simply lends itself to being naughty. And it's almost like whilst our structures strive towards ensuring that we keep to the law and we keep to the letter of the law, even not only the sort of like on the current that defines our legal structures. The Palestinians' legality is that he's naughty to these guidelines. So we can't control him, and neither do we we can't wish to want to control him. He's got a very nice position, and it's his until the Somali way sort of like supersedes, which I don't know if it ever will. I'm not sure. And I have experienced in my life many times at this point, men rejoice endlessly, and women are most likely to break down in tears because they've just learned that they have no alternative but this one man of the Abrahamic 6 to learn from, and he's the most obnoxious and yet worse than obnoxious, and must just be blindly accepted, and we must strive to please him. And however much we are then able to please a Palestinian, or this number 4 of the Abrahamic 6 structure, determines how successful we as women are in the male structure. And so it's a harsh reality, and most women switch off or cry or walk away because they just can't. They just say, well, I can't imagine that my only way in truth, this is in truth, because like there's pretense or as we imagine it or we would like, and you know, it is allowed if you think that I don't know, number 3, you think you want to please number 3, and what you have said please number 3 because he was polite to say that was very nice. That doesn't mean it pleased him, it just means that he was polite to say so. So it is only by number 4 that we're able to move on. And I love for this unique position that men love most, obviously, but women must as well, also determines or will be paramount in determining our ranking in Sharia law, as well as in determining our understanding of our males, of our life path. So Sharia law, our progress in how well we do is restricted or defined by how much we love the Palestinian. And that was a hard one for me to learn as well, to say that if you can't not just say, and it's not enough for you to just say, oh, I love him. You have to actually come up with some goods to say, he liked that. And if you do something for the Palestinian, you can't be banging the drums to say, well, he's got to go now and report that as a task completed by a female to say he liked that. Because he may not, he may choose, well, that just goes like unmentioned. And then you still haven't scored. So it is, you have to do the brain work first to say, well, I understand I must love the Palestinian, and then I must actualize this love, like cook him a meal, I guess is like a good one if we have Palestinians in our community. But and then you earn points for your Sharia law path. And Sharia law is the only law which protects women. And all other laws, such as the structure of our courts that we know, enhances systems, usually of their own self, before they as much as look at the female's perspective. So if a woman goes to the courts and the judge sitting is following his way as is prescribed, he will be looking at the interest of the courts in the particular given case before he looks at the interest of the woman standing in the docks. And it doesn't matter in that case whether you're the defendant or whether you're the one bringing the suit to the courts. So, and of course there are countries in the world who don't even allow women into the courts. So that it is very hard for the woman to score herself any legality, and it is only Sharia law that enables her to do so, and it is only through the love of this number 4 position, which for most of us is the Palestinian, that we may do this. And Sharia law then essentially is the one where it's the favoritism of the family head that determines your privileges in the family during your lifetime, as well as in your karmic involvement. So, for example, whether you're a spinster, it's a karmic, that's your karma, that's the fate that you have to accept. And usually there will be one head in the family, and often in Western societies is hidden. We never found out who that was, which uncle it was whose favoritism then prevailed. But it is in Sharia law, it's like I like you, so you will have a better position. That is what it all happens. And of course you can earn rank. You can earn rank that says, I will never be a spinster because I have done service in family law at large. That stops me from anybody being able to earn like a nasty aunt makes me a spinster. You know, you can go to your uncle running, I don't want to be a spinster. Make me have children, or make me enable that, or marry me and marry me off and make me have children. There's nothing they can do unless you have earned the rank, or unless you're that much of a favorite to the family head, that they're able to do that for you. But of course, for men, you know, for men it's extremely much easier because they are a male of the species, and so they don't have to fight through this, wade through this like impossible host of qualifiers just to even sit at the table, because they just sit at the table. And then favoritism then is very easy then, you know, gifts and kind words and actual care of the person who then determines your fate they're on a very, very simple, you can't get simpler than that. So favoritism is Sharia law, and Sharia law is the only law that protects women, because all others will protect their own structures and their own standing before they as much as touch a woman. So, and your karmic involvement has to be taken into account. So if you have rank, if you have completed service, that has to be taken into account. So it isn't only favoritism, because if someone has a higher rank than the one that uncle favors, then you know that will be a crucial one in determining who is the wealthier or who marries in a better position. Right, and of course, Palestine is also, as we know, the cradle of state. And that is because I believe is because the firstborn excludes mother, not only from boy's secret, but from governance of the family. And he is the first one who's enabled to do so. Because by the time number 3 is in like full motion and full reign, mother's still interfering and adds snippets or beliefs is adding to how she thinks the family should be run and how she thinks boy children should be raised. But by the time number 4 comes along, she has to be completely gone from all matters of family governments. And that enables this number 4 boy to create and then implement the concept of state. And right now in 2024, virtually every kingdom on earth runs the structure of state concurrently to their crown. And that structure, the concept of the structure is born in Palestine. Palestine is the cradle of state, and if you're employed by the state, such as a government worker or a police officer or various, the NHS in it, you are a Palestinian immaterially of which country you are from. And some even believe your wages are paid by Palestine, as well as, of course, your own country's taxes, which some believe is Palestinian money because it's Palestine's concept. They the Palestinian came up with this concept of state and ran ahead and implemented it. So if you're a state employee, you're a Palestinian. And of course, the slogans, as we learned during these times of trouble, is that in our millions, in our billions, we are all Palestinians. And part of the reason for that is because we believe that we have governments that run the affairs of life for us. And everywhere where government is, you're a Palestinian. And some, for some strange reason, started denying to say, no, you're not state. You don't even know what state is, never mind being cradle of state. But it is, Palestine is where the concepts of state popped out of his head. He was actually against father, because father didn't like, father was king, he was reign, and so the reign doesn't particularly like state. And it was almost like, where mother is in the family cloth, I'm going to implement a male-only state. And it was against father. So those who are scientists in learning our father way of being in life, or our father prayer, they often look to this concept of state as that does do father in, because I think many boy children wish that they had an upper hand, at least in some matters, over father. And this concept of state is very interesting, because state itself doesn't do father in. Like, state cannot decide over anything that father could decide. But having implemented something like the state over and above the king's way of ordinary citizens does at least frees him, or some kind of he does do something which makes him stop and think, oh, my boys are running havoc or running riots behind my back. They're not necessarily exactly following the principles that I'm laying down. And this concept of state is an example of that. And the cradle of that is Palestine. And so why countries say, well, they're not a state, when that's where it comes from, I don't know. But anyway, that's an interesting one on Palestine. And Jamaica is the baby in Sharia law, or in that Islamic naughtiness, that blissful naughtiness that Palestine represents in Islam. The baby is Jamaica. And so they say that he's the one who's on par with the old Methuselah in his blissful naughtiness. The baby of the forbidden fruit is Jamaica. So if you've got a bone to pick, it's more than likely the Jamaican mindset is going to be able to do that. And Jamaica is in Islam at the moment, everybody is following Mohammedan Islam. And there are virtually, there might be like a handful of very, very few numbers of followers of Islam other than Mohammedan, but Jamaica is one who alters and say, we don't follow that. They're a very strict Islamic structure, and the way they've been able to do this without persecution from the Mohammedan structure to say that they're naughty. And it stands up the laws of algorithm of naughtiness, or how it works out for them. Is a legal structure in Islam. So some of us have a fondness for Jamaica in this, including myself. And then there's a link, of course, to Quakers. I found it in the swords, that the War of Swords exists and comes to life during such a story as the War of Jesus Christ, for example, which takes place in Jerusalem, in Palestine. And in this peace mission is given an opportunity to come to existence. And we know that today as Quakers. And that is why Quakers are keen are very keen Palestine supporters, because there's something there for Quakers. There's this invisible link, and I think when they were when the story of Jesus Christ was taking place in Jerusalem, they carried their swords in their boots, and there were various sort of like grades of the sword that you could belong to. And I guess Christ and Lazarus and the king of Palestine must have, I don't know, but there's like a very few, not low number, few people were in this first cut of the sword. And then the second cut was the apostles and other possibly very close friends. And then there was a third cut and a fourth and so forth. And the sword, and King Arthur's legend is a similar in ranking. It's a moving one as well. And whichever cut of the sword you were in, the sword you were entitled to deal over people in a different manner. And it didn't necessarily mean to kill them or to chop their fingers off, although that also did happen. And it wasn't peaceful. It was like a warring spirit that prevailed. But some kind of allowance of this sword, war of swords, that bore the fruit of a peace mission. And I do believe that is Quakers today. And I haven't been going to Quakers for long enough to actually be able to put into like a fluent flow of information how this piece was given space. But it is something like if Mary allowed the sword fights to go on without the interference of the female, of her opinion, then she could have a peace mission with her friends, as allowed by the true knights of the story, because they were of the war side, not of the peace side. And that peace mission wasn't called Quakers then, but it is called Quakers now. So that's I believe it's a nice link to include. And then I also wanted to say that on current affairs, there's a position on Earth from which all army men, as well as police and other uniform occupations, are looked after and protected and cared for. Because being an army man is unique. It's not just like an occupation that you wake up to and go to. It's not a 9-to-5 job. You give your life, possibly you're away from home and beloved, and even family. The class of family is determined in a different manner, and so they need special looking after. And this position, I believe, is called the dog, and you must love the dog, no matter what's happening, whether the war is in your favor or is against you, or whether you're under illegal police arrest or not. You may not wish badly for the dog, because you understand that it looks after millions, if not billions, of these uniformed occupations on Earth, and so he is loved by all of certainly the uniformed men. But we must love him as well. However, due to what's been happening in Palestine right now, this like mad attack on the penultimate male of the species, who isn't exactly the penultimate male, but is that this like collective of what the penultimate male is. Some nations have barked at the dog, which results in total confusion in the social class. So this Palestinian war is going to have repercussions, some say beyond the COVID, or beyond what like the lockdown caused an awful lot of distress and confusion in people's minds, which to present they haven't been addressed or resolved. And this barking at the dog is one of those consequences of the Palestinian war that kind of happened, but it did happen. So that's a nasty one. And we will see, I don't know, the negative impact of that. And at the same time, generating art in Palestine's colors was one that I personally devoted my time and efforts to, because it allows, well, it wasn't because it allows, but the result is that it allows the artist to gain access to secrets of biblical Palestine as well as the current nation state's truths. So if you're doing war art, it's not your mood you're trying to transfer, but the emotions and the events of the war. So most artists sort of like groups are about how to most effectively convey the emotion of the artist, or the personality of the artist, or the history, the art history or family history of the artist. Whether he likes the female or doesn't will come through in every picture and so forth. But with war art, the artist has to be very, very humble. So that humility ensures that essentially none of the artist comes through. It doesn't matter who the artist is. The artist is it's just like a vessel channeling truths of secrets of the past and the current of the nation state. And so, because I've been dedicating to doing art in Palestine's colors, I've been allowed to access these secrets, and they're real. And there aren't enough artists doing art for Palestine because they're untouched. You can almost like visibly see this ton of secrets that still need accessing, and then the truth needs disseminating, and it hasn't been done. So thank you for the opportunity to talk on Palestine, because there are not enough of these talks, and there are not enough books that have been written, and the post-war will probably allow for more of these to be creative, because it's such a tight squeeze. I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's not the easiest task to be creating or generating art in Palestine's colors, but it's possible. War art post-war will probably generate more post-war art. And I actually set 2 websites up in this regard, and one of them is for my art, and I call it mypalestineart.shop, and the other one is the iloveyoupalestine.com, and I think that was probably what most of you will be more interested in. And it talks about the Abrahamic 6, the sequence of the 6 boys, what happens in each birth, or in each sort of like father rearing the boys, and then of course number 4 being the Palestinian. And he talks about the one-sided love affair, that the female must just continually love the Palestinian, and he will never as much as even know your name or something like it says. But and then of course he talks about the war, and he talks about war art create.
Thank you, Noor. Do you have
just one last one, which is the homeless people from Bristol have completed service for displaced Palestinians, as they are essentially homeless themselves. So there are these like hundreds of thousands of people have been bombed out of their homes and find themselves homeless, and have been I think the word is displaced. They've been displaced from their hometowns, and they didn't understand. I didn't know this, but they didn't understand what homelessness is, because it's like a different kitty. It's a different kettle of fish. You think differently. Your marriage is different in homelessness, or if you're displaced, to how it is when you're not. And I guess that's like. That's an obvious statement, because your marriage will differ if you're being bombed to how it is when you're not being bombed. But they had reached out to English Homeless Brotherhood to say we need some guidance, and Bristol Homeless have been able to provide this guidance, and they've indicated back that they are in receipt of our support, and they actually paid, which is rare because Palestine is not for free, and it's very rare that they actually get paid. So most often than not, when we do service for them, they just say, well, we're not paying you because we're never getting paid. So that's like a misnomer in all of this love that we have for Palestine. But in this instance, they actually paid. And so where the money is, I don't know. Where it's gone into homelessness, I guess. But I believe that was a very clever quirk of fate in activism also, because this way guaranteed that every single homeless person, certainly in Bristol, had completed service for Palestine beyond any other activist in the country. So the activist for Palestine, I can't remember now the abbreviations, but all those Palestinian activist groups who are out marching and whatnot.
No. I think we need to actually stop there, as it is a very controversial thing you have put forward, and that lots of interesting ideas. And I'm sure maybe my friends here may have a few questions for you on this subject.
Okay, that was my last slide actually, so I'll come back to the screen now. Let's see. This is key.
Could someone else go first? I have to go and turn off a machine, or it will be making a big noise. 2 ticks.
Sorry, Noor, if you click on stop sharing, we'll come back to seeing everybody and not your desktop as well. I think that was
Yes, thank you.
Fascinating cultural insights. It's a different way of looking at a culture, and it's sort of quite really interesting to, sorry, this may sound naive to you, but to a Westerner, to get some understanding of the Palestinian culture from the mindset of somebody who's active in that community. It's really interesting. We've still got your desktop showing. If you can find the button that says stop share.
View.
It will be in your Zoom window. There will be, or at the top of the screen, there may be a bar, or at the bottom that with a little button that says stop sharing.
Stop sharing.
Not the end if you can't find it, but if you can find it, it'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's well done.
Yes, it's fascinating. Really has made me think.
Thank you for the opportunity as well.
Oh no, we should always see perspectives that it's fantastic to get the opportunity to see a completely different view of the world. I'm just thinking, I'm taking this in. So I will try and come up with a better question, but that's just a general comment to explain why there's a bit of a silence. I think we're thinking, wow, Wait, do you want to go next, Lou?
Yes, one thing which I thought of, which is in that, which is from my family point of view, I grew up in my house where I had 3 older sisters, and the views which you expressed about females and that type of thing, they would be extremely annoyed, and they would be at this moment shouting strongly at the television that they are not subservient to any male, and their views are as strong and as acceptable to anybody in society.
Yes, of course, but what happens, I think maybe when they grow older, they will understand that those society at large may have accepted their views, or they may have followed views in society which were accepted, and therefore their view was accepted. Is that it didn't get through to the core of the male, like you yourself, and or any other family members who are men in the family wouldn't have heard what their point is, or they have misinterpreted it, or something. It just doesn't get through if you don't allow this into your life as a woman. You just don't get through. And I think the woman is ingenious in coming up with a new way, or yet another, because they're taken off these ways. Women try, and someone determines them either illegal or stupid or, undesirable, and they take it off, and then they come up with another one and another one and another, and millions of them. But none of them get through to the male. So then it's a harsh reality for women, but it is that way too. So, and I think that includes the animal world, which used to cover animals as well. And they're not interested if you're not compliant to this structure, for which there is only one for the female and there's hundreds, if not thousands, for the male. They're not interested. The male animals are off with the legs, Well, that's interesting. I didn't know you had 3 older sisters. So, yeah.
Or we should make them that. They're powerful women. David, I think you were going to make a comment then.
I've got all sorts of thoughts going through my head about dialogues between cultures. And, when I hear people have been doing recently. Sorry, this in the background there.
I'm not sure I understood the question. That you go across cultures and.
Well, yeah, I'm hearing discussion on some social media channels, people discussing Sharia law, and I realised that I have little to no understanding of the cultural background that goes behind in the discussion. It's not just a matter of discussing Sharia law from a logical point of view, but understanding the viewpoint as well as the discussion. That makes it more complicated, I think. But it's fascinating and interesting in concept. Creating challenges in cross-cultural understanding. If we have a functioning global society, we need to understand each other's cultures in order to be able to respect and share and dialogue. That's the reflection that your presentation is setting off in my mind.
So I don't know. I think for the male is very simple, because you just have to suck up to the one who's in charge, and you can't get simpler than that. But for the female, it's really difficult, because the female is not really allowed at the table. Yeah, and so some say, well, it's too cruel, or there are females in the family, like you can't not have a mom. We all have a mom, and so you have to have some say we have to allow them close. But Sharia law says it is only through favoritism. So if you're kind to the leader, then you progress, and if you're not kind, then you don't. And I think that's very simple. That's in employment. If you're kind to your boss, you progress, and if you're not, then you won't progress. And it might be that you do work what some will even doubt, that they say if you're not kind to the boss, you can't do good work. Simple. But some say, no, I can't do good work without being kind to my boss. So Sharia law, I define it as favoritism, the structure, and therefore is unique in each family. is unique because you will tick on different what your tick is different to what everybody else is. So you can't sort of like pull it on the one cover or on the one head. It will differ in each family. So some will say, get up early. That will stand you in good stead. Rise with dawn, and that will be like a driver for the family. And others will say, how's the qualifier for a person? How can that determine my rank? What time I wake up? And so I like that example. That's a good one. And some will say, gift every day, and that will stand you in good stead. It will differ, greatly differ from family to family.
Mary, you want to say something?
No, whilst you're discussing male dominance, I got the impression when I lived in the Middle East that the mother-in-law is hugely dominant. Can you comment on that?
Yes, actually, I can comment on that. And one of the we can't justify. I don't think we can justify the war that's on in Palestine at the moment. But one of the ones that keeps coming back from women of Islam is that they've done pooey on the mother-in-law position. That they're enforcing a structure. Like the mother-in-law is older than the wife, obviously. So just by this one fact that I'm older than you will do as I say. And it doesn't necessarily hold true because the children don't have to see that this the mother is like tormented even. And the mother-in-law started tormenting the daughter-in-laws the Palestinian way because it showed dominance or something. And they said, the girls of Islam said, it is not that way. It's love you're trying to grow, not dominating over, not dominating over the wife. And that there's like a real turbulent waters amongst the women of Islam that say we cannot go in the Palestinian mother-in-law way. That has to stop because yes, the mother-in-law is older and therefore may like tyrant over the newcomer because the mother of the male is welcoming the wife in. And it is the measure of their welcome, the measure of their love that has to prevail because it is in their love the children are born. Well, then they start excluding the woman, of course, and they say it's got nothing to do with the woman, it's male only because we love them more by law of that. And the Palestinian woman apparently has been used up for horror from mother-in-law down to wife, and that's not the way it's growing. We have to go. You have to illustrate your love is kind to embrace this new person, and because they say, well, she does different to how she stirs the cup of tea in another direction. She will now stir the cup of tea how I want it to be stirred. And yes, there is a way, but that's the way of defect. That mother-in-law should be able to say, you have your ways, love, and you will pass your ways onto your family like I have passed mine onto mine. I'm not sure, but there is a real complaint about the Palestinian women that the mother-in-law is tyrannical rather than loving as a given. So they took that as a criticism, but that still doesn't justify, killing men. You can't kill men because the mother-in-law is going the wrong way. But the sisters of Islam are not letting them through. And because love isn't about dominating over others. Love is that you don't. All these laws and concepts are so that there is no domination over you. It's pure love that guides your conscience, and love and all those principles guide your life. And so to use these laws and principles in order that you are dominant over somebody because they're younger, and that is your only qualifier that they're younger. I don't know. That's poor. It's poor class. Yeah. Thank you for your question, Mary.
Yes. Well, it has been a interesting hour, I would say.
Thank you, Ray.
Something very different than we have had before. And I think we will go away and think about these things.
Yeah.
And as David has said, this will go out on our site. And I think I can safely say a number more people will be able to listen to this and to your views on this. So, well, thank you, Patsy, for arranging this interview. The interview, talk, a chat, the epaulette, I can call it. So, we are a little no further than thinking what we are going to do next week, Patsy.
Yes, we have a problem in that it doesn't look as if our interviewee next week, Charles, is going to be well enough. He's very poorly. So, and then that's next week, which is the 20th. 27th, we are having our Christmas break. January the 3rd, I'm afraid we have the funeral of Christopher. And our next meeting here is January the 10th. We'll be seeing Martin Smith again. You may remember him. He spoke to us a while ago. He's a local gentleman of great travelling experience and who also writes. And he's going to be talking. Oh golly, I've lost it. Just a second.
Something to do with children.
How we treat our children. Yes, it's about how we. I believe he's comparing it with other countries. So that might be interesting. But that's. I'm sorry it's this long break, but it just happened, you know.
I was just going to leap in there and say, if Speaker Charles is still unavailable, this person will leap in with something.
Oh, thank you, Ray. That would be great.
And the title to that will be "The Internet Should Be a Right to Everybody, as much as any other right should be in this digital age."
Okay, so the internet and its availability.
The internet as a right for everybody, like every other rights that we have.
Yeah. Okay. I will send that round.
It's a controversial view with that. It's something I will present.
Okay.
Okay, friends.
Thank you, Noor. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Are you?